Hey guys, here's your bit of nuclear news for the day. This is a very important study that was conducted in 2007 around the Vogtle Georgia nuclear power plants. This is before the last two reactors were added. And I don't think people understand how important this study really is. If you're anti-nuclear, you should be quoting from this specific study. If you're against nuclear power, this is the study you should know by heart. This involves the public at a 40-mile radius around Vogtle, Georgia, and the changes in health status. It's put out by the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. Now, this is found on the NRC website. I found this on NRC. I'll show you the PDF right now. Okay. Mortality trends in Burke County. The Southern Company was proposed adding 2 nuclear reactors to the 2 existing ones at the Alvin Vogtle plant near Waynesboro, Georgia. Such an action would be potentially harmful for local public health. As a basis for predicting such harm and changes in levels of environmental radioactivity and local cancer rates since Vogtle began operating were analyzed. The major findings are: 1. The 2 reactors released airborne radioactivity on a routine basis. Releases are much greater from Vogtle Unit 1. Number 2, from 1987 to 1990, as Vogtle began operating, to 1991 to 2003, during full operation, average radioactivity levels in drinking water, river water, and sediment downriver or at the Vogtle plant rose. Beta in raw drinking water, it increased 37.1%. Beta in finished drinking water, it increased 17.8%. Beryllium-7 in the sediment increased 39.5%. Cesium-137 in sediment, it increased 37.4%. Tritium in the river water, plus 44.6%. Now, tritium is important, guys, and if you know me, then you know I talk about organically bound tritium. And that's this type of tritium that all the plant life take up that we eat, and that our animals eat that we eat. Okay? It is then bonded to the cells in the plants, right to the carbon, or it replaces hydrogen in the cell. And then it forms organically bound tritium. That causes DNA strand breaks, micronucleus formations, cell necrosis or apoptosis, chromosal aberrations, and various other phenomena they can't explain, thus negatively affecting human health. During the same periods, the cancer death rate for children and adolescents in the 11 counties closest to Vogtle rose 58.5%. compared to a 14.1% decline nationally. Okay? In 11 counties closest to Vogtle rose 58.5% compared to a 14.1% decline nationally. If you don't know those numbers, those are the numbers to know. A nearly 60% increase with a 14% decrease nationally. During the same periods, the death rate in Burke County, Georgia, where Vogtle is located, rose sharply for all cancers, especially for blacks and for children and young middle-aged adults, while U.S. rates declined. In the late 1980s, Burke County cancer mortality rates were below the U.S., but are now considerably higher. These are the change in the cancer from 87 to 90 to 91 to 2003. All ages, all races. Burke County rose 25.1%, while the United States decreased 4.2%. All ages, white, increased 17.5%, while a 3.7% decrease in the United States. All ages, black, increased 30.7%, with a 5.7% decrease in the United States. Ages 0 to 24, all races, an increase of 55.5% in Burke County, with a 14.1% decrease in the United States. Age 25 to 54, all races, an increase in Burke County at 55.1%, with a 2.1% decrease nationally. The findings suggest that some factors introduced since the late 80s has raised cancer risk in the area, particularly in Burke County. Because radioactive chemicals are known to cause cancer, the startup of Vogtle 1 and 2 should be considered as one contributing factor. Based on the above observations for 1991 to 2003, over 500 excess cancer deaths in Burke County can be projected over the entire 40-year license period for the two existing Vogtle reactors. Adding 2 new reactors could potentially double the total. It would be prudent to examine the correlation between radioactivity from Vogtle and local public health risks further before proceeding with any plan to add new nuclear reactors to the site. Do you suppose they really looked into this before they decided to spend $30 billion on the next 2 reactors they just built in Vogtle? Of course they didn't. They don't care. It's in black and white. It's in black and white. So go to the study, check it out, and we'll look at some more nuclear news. Tritium, or hydrogen-3, is a rare and radioactive isotope of hydrogen. It's rare because it's made by the sun, and it's sent out throughout the solar system, where it impacts the magnetosphere, and it is extremely rare on the surface of Earth and only found in trace amounts in the upper atmosphere. It's very important, which means most of the tritium we find here on the surface, you'll find out where it came from. The nucleus of tritium contains 1 proton and 2 neutrons, whereas the nucleus of the common isotope hydrogen-1, protium, contains 1 proton and 0 neutrons, and that of hydrogen-2, deuterium, contains 1 proton and 1 neutron. Those are the different names you'll see. 10 to the negative 18 in hydrogen. Half-life 12.32 years, which I've heard 12.33. Those are guesstimations, remember. And then you have your beta emission energy. That's why they say it's harmless right there. As we see, naturally occurring tritium is extremely rare on Earth. The atmosphere only has trace amounts. Okay? Let's slide on down here. Environmental contamination. Tritium has leaked from 48 of 65 nuclear sites in the U.S. In one case, leaking water contained 7.5 microcuries, or 280 kilobecquerels, of tritium per liter, which is 375 times the current EPA limit for drinking water and 28 times the World Health Organization's recommended limits. This is equivalent to 0.77 nanograms per liter, or roughly 0.8 parts per trillion. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission states that in normal operation in 2003, 56 pressurized water reactors released 40,600 curies. Okay, this is known by the NRC, and they're allowing it to happen because it can't be done without releasing it. Liquid effluents. Effluents. You're not going to find this unless you use that word. You got to use that word to find out what they release on a daily basis. Okay. The legal limits for tritium in drinking water vary widely from country to country. Some figures are given below. Australia being the worst. Japan is coming in second. Finland, then the World Health Organization, and Switzerland are right on cue. Russia, Canada, and the United States are lower than that. I wonder why the United States is so much lower than the rest of the world. Seems strange. Seems very strange. It's almost like they knew long ago that it is an issue. Okay? And of course, for comparison, they use the banana equivalent dose. Banana equivalent dose. Okay? Do you see the fallacies here? Right. 400 BED. Yet it forms organically bound tritium when it's taken up in the plant life. And then we eat it and it stays bonded to our cells for much longer than anything that you'll find from the World Health Organization or NRC that states it is relieved from our body between 12 and 30 days, the biological half-life. The biological half-life of organically bound tritium is not the same as just tritium. That is very important, and why all nuclear reactors are an issue that are cooled by water. Tritium doesn't just permeate the metal. H2O water will neutron capture a neutron, which means it captures a neutron and holds on to it, and it'll change into H3O, tritiated water. That's your beta decay in our drinking water, guys. Plus other beta emitters. But that's primarily what we're getting our beta decay from in our drinking water, because it can't be filtered. They can't filter tritium. It simply isn't done, because it would be too costly. All right, guys. Well, that's your nuclear news for the day. Have a good day, and thanks for watching. Bye.